welcome to Generic News Network, the prime outlet for breaking news on nights at 9, only on Channel 42, Generic TV station. In world news, American citizens continue to vote despite the pandemic with a historically high voter turnout, with 18 states sure to vote for Joe Biden of the Democratic Party and 15 sure to vote for Donald Trump of the Republican Party. U.S. presidential elections will be determined by the Electoral College. On the 2020 presidential debate, Trump hammered Biden for failing to solve problems like institutional racism during his time in the Senate and as vice president, casting him as a typical politician. Biden lambasted Trump in policy terms, criticizing his handling of the pandemic and his approach to healthcare, the economy, and immigration. But at times, the former vice president got personal, at one point calling Trump one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history.
Vote now. Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question because the question is radical left. Will you shut up, man? Listen, who is on your...
As of writing, Biden is taking the lead. However, John Mendelsohn, CEO of New York-based think tank Hawkfish, warns that Trump could unilaterally claim a victory and stop counting mail-in votes. The president has repeatedly argued that mail-in ballots would lead to massive electoral fraud, likely in an attempt to sow distrust in any changes to the early results. There is also concern that followers of QAnon, a far-right conspiracy that Trump is saving the U.S. from dark liberal forces, could incite potentially violent protests should Trump lose the election. QAnon could also promote misinformation on voter fraud following the election, potentially leading to violent protests. Electoral votes are distributed based on the results of the popular vote in each state, in proportion to their population, with 270 out of 538 needed to secure victory. Polls close on November 3rd.
Thank you, Anika. For a Philippine COVID-19 update as of November 2, 2020, in terms of total number of infections, the Philippines is the 22nd country with the most infections and the second Southeast Asian country with the most number of cases, behind Indonesia. The Department of Health recently reported on Sunday that the number of active cases fell to 27,115, the lowest since July 31, after the DOH declared the recovery of 17,727 people with mild or no symptoms who had completed a 2-week quarantine. The Philippines now has 383,113 confirmed COVID-19 cases. The DOH reported 17 new deaths due to the coronavirus disease, bringing the death toll to 7,238, while recoveries are up by 17,727, raising total recoveries to 348,760. Of the total cases, 27,115 are active. The country's COVID-19 active cases dropped to its lowest level in 3 months, but new cases also increased to its highest level in 2 weeks, or since the government eased quarantine restrictions. The Philippines economy fell into recession for the first time in 29 years with a record slump in the second quarter. The Philippine economy is seen contracting by 8.3% this year, poised to be its biggest annual gross domestic product drop in history. The pandemic had already wreaked havoc on the economy, and significant scarring effects such as hysteresis and bankruptcies are expected. This concludes our Philippine COVID-19 update, and please remember to, as much as you can, keep a safe distance, wash hands often, and stay home. Back to you, Anika.
Let us now go over to our special correspondent Miguel Enrico on site with the Super Typhoon Report. Miguel?
Thank you, Anika. Super Typhoon Goni, the world's most powerful storm in 4 years, crashed into the Philippines on Sunday. At least 10 people were reported dead as of Monday morning. Peak winds were estimated at 195 miles per hour early Sunday before Goni slammed into Catanduanes Island. Those winds equivalent to those of the Super Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. President Duterte did not address the nation and was also not present during the first high-level briefing held by the government on the morning that Roy entered the Philippine area of responsibility. Hashtag Nasaan ang Pangulo and EBS became trending topics on Twitter as Filipino social media users took issue with the absence of any word from the president and the lack of information reaching far-flung areas that used to be serviced by ABS-CBN Corporation. Back to you, Anika.
Thank you, Miguel. And that's our time. I'm Anika Famila Dancing for Generic News Network signing off, saying that as long as it's news, you'll tune in. Thank you and good night.